I'm essentially being cooked alive. I have to go to bed now, but I'm being shot into really hard. I want to show you just how loud this is now. This is insane. The loudness shows just the intensity, and it's just non-stop. So they cranked it up, and it's just, you know, gunning people down. They also use shots here. You can hear it's getting louder on my side. The really rough sounds. So essentially I'm being shot at from behind on my kidney. You can hear that. And you can also hear how it's getting loud to my head. So it's quiet here. And then here it's really loud, because that's where they aim the beam, just non-stop. Full blast. You can hear the modulation in the shots. That's another shot that actually hit me here. And this is essentially the mutilation program. If I switch this off, you can't see anything. So they think by just putting down these emitters and mutilating people, this is mutilation, because these beams hurt you. They hurt you. They make you very, very ill. They give you cancer, and essentially these beams pass through entire walls, so they also pass through my body. So the beams are irradiating me, and I've got this beam roughly the size of my hand. If I put my hand here, I can feel the pain in my hand. And they're just holding it and just gunning me. And the fast clicking that you could hear, the tick, 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 those were shots. That's like a little machine gun. And you're being just shot into with a little machine gun. But if I don't have this, it's entirely silent, and the machine targets me. So I am picked out, and you would not understand. If I say I'm in intense pain, I'm being targeted, you wouldn't understand. But now look, now the difference, right? Now you think, oh, this is just a woman just standing there, but listen to this. Can you hear the shots to the head? I'm also being shot here. I mean, you can see the injuries in my face everywhere, deep, deep wounds here. As the makeup wears off, you can actually see what I really look like. And it just marks everywhere, absolutely everywhere on my face. Those are the shots. And you can hear that they now switch this off and are doing something else. The shots are still being fired, but the bass hum is not as loud. Can you hear the beam? Here it's really loud. There it's falling off. It's there. Can you see how it's getting louder when I lift it to my head? And the clicking continues. Sorry, this is just massively loud. This is howling. This is howling. Normally this thing isn't that loud. But what you saw is that when I had it here, it was getting louder. And as I was lifting this thing out of the beam, it's here, it was quiet, and then here it's getting louder again. Here it's dropping off, because there's a beam shooting at me from here. And if I'm in the middle of the beam, like here, it's getting very, very loud, you know. And when I move this outside towards the beam halo, I still can hear it, because this is partially hit. but I'm only measuring the beam halo, not the middle intensity. So this is how I can actually show with this thing that there is a beam. And it's good. So this is the EM Fields Acousticom 2. It's called an electrosmog detector, but it's measuring between 200 megahertz and 8 gigahertz. But what's really good about this is this audio output, because with the audio, when you have a beat pattern, that's roughly every second or around a second, that is a hertz. So hertz means beats per second, and these beats are essentially what's said to interfere with the human brain in the hertz range. And you can actually hear that. Now this thing doesn't allow you that much directionality, but because the sensitive area is somewhere here, if this size, this area is moved around and the beam is roughly here, then you can bit by bit map out a beam that's hitting you. So that for that it can be used. And also what's really good is the audio. So it's just converting all the wave shapes into audio noise. And with that, you can actually pick up different wave shapes and discover how you're being targeted. So I discovered that a lot of the very painful microwaving that hurts on the skin and in the joints shows up here like metallic clicking. It literally sounds like metallic, even if the intensity is not that high, that whatever falls within, this frequency range, because there could be also frequencies used outside this range, it will sound like crickets made out of metal, or aluminium foil crackling, or this sort of metallic sound and metallic hits. But then there's also this the fast clicking that you heard, which sounded like this knocking, like that. And that's, I think, also the pulse. These are fast pulses that are shot into a person, and essentially they damage tissue and so on. But this is just non-stop, and I know where these people are, right? I mean, this is out there. There's a big glass door, and through the glass door, there's a building on the other side, and on that building is essentially the black satanic goat that they placed. It was the day after I survived the assassination attempt on the motorway in Lucerne. So I got a death threat going to the High Court, begging for an emergency injunction. Which, by the way, my case was thrown out by Judge Holgate. I think this is a name to remember forever. Judge Holgate at the High Court thought that, after an assassination attempt and death threats, I really didn't have a case, and even dared to call it, frivolous or vexatious, even though I begged him for more time to submit evidence, because I was being just taken to pieces. So Judge Holgate. But in the very beginning, after my first hearing before another judge, on the way I received a death threat, I survived an assassination attempt 3 days later on the Swiss motorway, where I almost crashed into the sides of a tunnel. And then the next day, there was essentially a black satanic goat on top of the a flat roof outside my house. And I've photographed it. It's on my website. If you look at court cases and evidence, you'll see a photo of that goat. It's a life-size black goat, as if you would put that on a flat roof, but anyway, that's the pattern, and I'm being shot at from that direction, so it's not really hard to guess where these Nazis are. But you also saw that the military police essentially refuses to investigate, and I think the person I called, if I remember correctly, at the military police is a guy called Merz. I think I have to check, but I think it's Mr. Merz. So he's been told he doesn't give a damn. So Nazi mutilations are okay. And after contacting Swiss military police, I survived another assassination attempt where I was shot in the head driving back from Davos on the Serpentines, and I was shot into the head with electromagnetic pulses. And I just passed a vehicle which said military police. It could have been just coincidence, but then there are too many coincidences here. And essentially this military police vehicle was parked in the street just before the Serpentines, and people were getting in. There were two guys, standing in the road and, waving around. So it could have been that they placed down these, electromagnetic gun-toting snipers, and were amusing themselves and trying to snipe out a woman and making her have a car accident. But yeah, so, I was shot in the head before every single turn of the Serpentine, particularly hard before the turns that go outward. So the idea is that you lose orientation for a moment, your car continues straight, you break the barrier and you fall down the abyss, and they say that was your fault. but it wasn't. As far as I could tell, I thought I was shot into the head by the car behind, but frankly, anybody could have been standing in the forest aiming at my head. But the Swiss military police are now in on it, officially. They haven't stopped it. They know where this is. The Swiss criminal police, the Swiss local police, I think that they are clueless, but the Swiss criminal police of Canton, Zurich, and the military police are in on these Nazi assaults. They are in on the Nazi maiming of women, you know, and also my husband here. So this is the situation. Good night, everybody. Have a good night. It's now midnight here.